Welcome to a very special episode of Third Side. I'm John Shaw.
I'm Jared McGee.
Today, we've got quite the guest list with us. We have Adam Cardone.
Yo.
We've got Shannon Gausten, Raul Antony, Dorian Grey, Eric Vernor, Adam Roberts, and Jeff Bowling.
What's up?
Quite the cast. We're here to talk about... What are we talking about, Jared? Jared. Alrighty then. Perfect.
I think I dropped because the screen is frozen.
He's frozen.
I know. I'm going to show that picture of him just like this.
Guns, John! We're talking about guns!
The whole time. We're talking about guns, and we're talking about control, something that should be totally separate, in my opinion. But there's going to be a lot of different opinions here, some of them the same. But let's get into it. Who wants to start this thing with what's been going on in Las Vegas and the sudden, let's get rid of guns thing again?
I think I heard your eyes rolling.
Yeah, yeah. I got to oil these things. All right. Eric, let's start with you because you have guns, and we all have guns, but you've got a special job. You've got guns behind you, so that's awesome. None of us will have that. But tell us, what do you feel about what's going on with this Las Vegas thing and this whole, crazy shit going on with gun control again?
Well, I think out of everybody, I have a more unique perspective because my part-time job outside of writing and publishing is I'm a bail enforcement agent. So I kind of have to deal with regular people owning guns, police officers, and me being in the quasi category of not quite law enforcement, but not civilian either. So, I have shit pointed at me all the time. And, obviously, I don't want to have every nut job on the street who doesn't deserve to have a gun wielding one, because those are the people I go to try to bring into court. But before I ever had this job for 40 years, I was Joe Citizen who just loved to collect, shoot, and have fun and want to protect myself while walking the streets. So I think we have multiple different angles to look at. We have people who are spouting off constantly that don't even know the situation in Las Vegas. They saw something briefly on Fox News or on social media. They treat it like gospel without even trying to find out what happened or what weapons the gentleman had or anything, and they just want to scream gun control as if that's going to fix everything. And I think it's a crock because as far as I'm aware, I did a little research before this. He didn't have a history of mental illness. He had no criminal record. He had a lot of money. He was an older guy. He had no reason to not own firearms. We don't even know if some of the ones that he had were modified or not, or illegally converted or purchased. So, for people to scream to do one thing or the other, people just need to get their facts straight first before they even open their mouths. That's my opinion, and that goes to lawmakers and people on both sides of the gun control issue. They don't even wait for the bodies to get cold. They just want to start pointing fingers and yelling at each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to point some of the blame at the media for their irresponsible reporting. I think that if the media didn't glorify this so much, then we wouldn't have this continually happening in our society. Whereas if you get a mentally ill person that wants to go out with a bang, they know that all they have to do is go shoot a bunch of people, and they'll be all over the news for the next month. So there's some blame to be pointed at the media and their irresponsible reporting, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah. You think that they're... the media's... They always do that, though, and I think that there's some kind of agenda going on or something, because every time a gun is used, it's gun control, we need gun control. If a car was used... Adam, you're in a car, you all right?
Yeah, I'm
all
good.
Right, I hear some... I don't know what happened over there. But people mow down people with cars, and you don't hear for stricter car regulations. More people die being bludgeoned to death with a hammer or a club than guns. Yeah. I don't hear anything about assault hammers or fucking let's go. We need stricter hammer regulations. I mean, people are fucking stupid.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's incredibly easy to build a bomb too. I mean,
Way
you know,
easy.
you get rid of guns, you just go to the hardware store, you build a bomb. You know?
Yeah, you can take out more people that way.
Here's the thing. I live in New York City, so there's no guns. It's very rare that I meet people that have guns in their houses. I have the long gun permit here. I have shotguns and rifles. So 99% of the people I know in New York City are very anti-gun. I'm always the guy that everybody thinks is right-wing, even though I don't consider myself right-wing. But the thing that's funny is every single person I hear talking about guns online, on Facebook, is just like, why do you need them? No one needs them. No one needs them. They keep saying it over and over again. And I always look at it as like this fundamental core feeling, and it's written in stone in our Constitution, that I always bring up to these people. Like, yeah, it's not about hunting. It's not about any of this stuff, you know? So why are guns legal for civilians? That's the first step to this whole thing. It's like, why are they legal? And if you ask me, it's to protect against possible tyranny. I mean, that's pretty much straight up what.
Yeah.
And I always point out to people, hey, how come in France those guys ran in and shot up a bunch of people with guns? Right?
Yeah.
They have gun control.
Right.
A lot.
Yeah, and New
All
York.
of these countries in Europe.
You live in New York. You can't have
Guns
guns. People are dying from guns all the time. Chicago, California, all these different places
I know.
that are like
It just
strict
doesn't
gun
matter.
laws.
Well, they'll say,
Doesn't make sense.
well, they get them across the border and bring them, you know. But what about in France? There's no guns. It's so hard to get a gun in Europe. So, again, if the bad guys want guns, they're going to get them.
Not for bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's so silly. Listen, my kid goes to a school with a police officer sitting in the front as the security guard, and the police officer doesn't have a gun. And I joke around with the cop all the time, like, why do you not have a gun? And they're like, oh, it's a gun-free zone. And I'm like, okay, great. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. A cop without a gun sitting in front of the school, and down the street there's a bank, and they got a guy with a gun in front of the bank.
So
That makes him basically a reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the point?
Babysitter. So if somebody
it's
I
a
don't know what
babysitter.
I don't know
It's
what the laws are in
interesting.
Nevada for carrying a gun into a concert or a public venue, but I know that in California, you can't. Most venues you can't carry a gun. You go through a metal detector to go to a concert, and you are in a sense a sitting duck in that situation.
Yes, sir.
Now, gun-free zone, you're just a sitting duck, like I just said. So horrible.
What about in a kid's school? Why would you have a cop? Why wouldn't you just have a parent?
Yeah, cops should
With a
always have a gun.
walkie-talkie?
So in your
Doesn't make
school,
sense.
in your kid's school, let's say Satan forbid some criminal freaking comes in there with a gun and he's going to shoot up the place. What's the cop going
They're
to
all
do?
fucked.
Call a cop?
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. Nothing. He's gonna get
He's
shot.
gonna call the
He's
bank.
The cop is the first one to get shot in the face in that condition. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's just silly.
And
I
another
joke
needless
with the cop all the
tragedy
time.
that we'll need stricter gun laws for.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
No.
It's
The
so-
whole thing is silly.
it's interesting hearing how different it is from some of you who live in the cities to me. I live in New Hampshire. We have constitutional carry. So if you're legally able to buy a gun, you can carry it concealed on you anywhere you want to go, as long as it's not a private property that says you can't have guns, courthouses, that kind of
Wow.
thing.
Same thing here in Arizona. Same thing. Yeah.
I like
It's-
that.
I can go in, I can pass a 2-minute, I can buy a gun the same day. I don't need a permit. I don't need
Right.
anything to get a gun except for a quick criminal background check, which I can go home with that gun that day. So
me too.
it's insane to me to hear where there's so much control, there's so much violence. We don't have that out here.
Yeah.
Everybody
The
grew up with
control
guns.
does nothing, though. The control does absolutely nothing, because in California there's a 10-day waiting period. Now, I have a whole safe full of firearms, and I have 3 guns on my concealed carry permit here that's good in the state of California. I still have to go for a 10-day wait period when I buy a gun. That's pointless.
Even for a shotgun?
Yes.
Sorry?
For a
My
shotgun?
favorite flawed logic in all of this is the background check. Name one background check that can predict the future.
Right.
That's what I was saying earlier about this guy in Vegas. He had a clean record. He was in his 60s,
Yeah.
and
Right.
nobody ever would have suspected him.
Well, the problem with this case is my anti-gun friends go, when they hear that no, I always say to them, what law would have stopped this? None. And they'll go, right, that's why there shouldn't be any guns. That's their argument. And I'm like, yeah, but one of these assholes posted on Facebook the other day, he goes, to all the gun owners out there, if you could hit a button and erase all guns from everybody, would you? And I'm like, what the hell kind of question is that? It's impossible.
No, I like to go shooting.
Yeah, well, there you go. I said no because your question's stupid. Like, it doesn't make any, it's impossible. It's a fantasy.
Raul, what do you think?
Yeah, it's on that, in that train of thought, there is an often brought up case is the collection of guns in Australia. I think it was 1996 or 98.
Yes.
Where they confiscated and collected all the guns in Australia, and people are saying, well, we should be doing that. You know, it was so successful for them in Australia. They haven't had any gun-related massacres in there, because that was a reaction to a massacre there. Now, if you look at the stats, actually, there was no great drop in the gun-related death rate. There was a small dip, but there was already a linear decline prior to that. So then there was a dip, and then the linear decline continued, and the suicide rates actually increased with other non-gun related suicides.
Yeah. Like hammers?
So it didn't really do it. Well, I don't know exactly, but so it may have slightly curbed some gun related deaths, but it may have prevented maybe some other mass massacre, maybe. But the thing is that these things evoke emotional responses, and as Satanists, we should be thinking more logically, reasonably, rationally, rather than emotionally. Because there was a recent op-ed piece in the Washington Post where they talked to a statistician who was a former gun control advocate. Well, not advocate, but he was pro-gun control, and he actually did the analysis, did all the analysis on gun-related deaths, and he came out of it saying, you know what, there's no gun control measure that can really prevent something like this. Especially when you consider that 2/3 of all gun-related deaths in this country are suicides, and that's just one bullet, that's just one gun, that you can't really prevent that. I mean, now that opens up another area of discussion of, well, mental illness. How do you detect mental illness? Should you prevent people with mental illness from owning guns? And maybe somebody can talk about that.
Well, here's a question. What is mental illness?
Yeah.
What if you like in my situation, I have past drinking history that I haven't drank in 24 years. But that could count as a mental illness.
Being a Satanist could count as that.
Yeah, on my medical record it says I used to drink too much. You know?
Yeah. And my
doctor could say no.
There were plenty of psychologists out there who would say, "Oh, you're a Satanist, you're mentally ill. You cannot have that."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the other way around? If you believe in a make-believe thing and you worship that, aren't you mentally ill?
Right.
No, well, I mean, I'm autistic. We've had an autistic mass shooter. I remember when that happened, it was, they're all, everybody's emotional and cold. And I mean, I easily could be said, I can't have a gun,
Yep.
And I think the problem with these anti-gun people is that they've never actually legitimately had their lives threatened. As in, I will fucking kill you. Sorry, I said the F word. But
what I mean? You're good. You're good. We're adults.
I think when you actually are in a situation where it is life and death for you, you don't live next door to the police station. And I've had a situation like that. I had somebody break into my house when my child was 5 years old, and I had a knife. And I stood there listening to these people rifling through shit downstairs. This is sort of pre-cell phone, too.
Was it an assault knife?
But it was one of those things where, I've been through that trauma of thinking to myself, what are they going to do to me? What are they going to do to my kid? Is it one person? Can I fucking kill them before they get me? That is a devastating thought. I still don't sleep well at night, despite having many guns, dogs, and a security system. So I would really challenge anybody who's ever been in a real life or death situation to turn around and tell me, guns, we shouldn't have guns. Well, you've never been threatened. You still live in this world where everything's okay because nothing bad has happened to you.
Yeah.
It's a nice place to visit.
One of the problems
of the you shouldn't have guns argument. How are you going to get guns away from the bad guys? You're never going to get the guns away from the bad guys.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, you make laws about guns, and it's going to be the law-abiding citizens that follow them.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, what if they
breaking the laws anyway?
What if they did a ban? What if they did a national? Everybody turn in your guns. That's it. They're all illegal. How many people are going to go bury some in their backyard? I am.
That's the first place they'll look. I'm not burying it there. No.
Yeah,
exactly.
So there's a big desert out here.
It's not going to happen. It's like,
yeah, if you had some kind of mass confiscation, that would pretty much erupt in a civil war in this country.
Yeah,
war. Yeah, and even if that were to successfully happen, something that people, I guess, selectively ignore is that Australia, England, the United Kingdom, these are islands. They're surrounded by water. We have land borders, and you could easily have the Chinese, the Russians, the Israelis. We could have all kinds of other parties that want to funnel guns through our land borders, and so the cartels will still get their guns. The wackos who don't want to follow any laws will get their guns still. So the only people who are be unarmed are law-abiding citizens.
Well, guns are not hard to manufacture.
Yeah,
you can make them. Zip guns have been around forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's never going to happen. I always say this to people, straight up. Would you rather live somewhere that's 100% safe, in the sense that, like, yeah, we get rid of all the guns, there's no more mass shootings, there's no accidental shootings, but there's that 1% chance that the fascists rise to power, right? It's happened. How many times in history has something like that happened?
A lot. Like,
exactly.
Like several.
So,
Hitler's
several
first
times.
rule was take away the guns from the people, then they couldn't revolt against him.
I mean, it's going to happen again. It's like a hurricane. We had a hurricane in New York, 4 years ago? It's going to happen again. It's just when. So it's like free speech. If you have free speech, you're going to be offended. If you're going to have guns, people are going to get shot. So it's just...
Well, speaking of hurricanes, during Hurricane Katrina, the government declared what was like a martial law, and they went around and everybody's registered weapons, and half those people didn't even get them back.
Yeah.
Nope, and they got sued and lost money because the NRA sued them too. So it cost them money because they did something stupid. It's terrible.
So actually, Jeff, you're from Nevada. Like, what are your thoughts on gun control in Nevada and the incident? I mean, I'm sorry, John. I didn't mean to control it there. But
it's your show, Raul.
No, actually, that's kind of what I was waiting for, because I mean, there's no let's not BS ourselves here. The reason we're having this conversation is because of what happened in my home, and it was like they said, it was the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, and it was a horrible thing that went down.
Wait, but hold on real quick, though. Why do they call it the worst mass shooting in U.S. history? That's not true.
It has the most casualties.
I was going to say that.
That's not true either.
In modern history is what they say.
In modern history.
In modern. So there's a line from history to modern. I got
it's
you. Okay.
If you're not counting acts of war or acts done within.
I'm just talking about what happened to my ancestors. You know, the Indians. They got really mass murdered with guns.
Right, but that was done by the army, so that wasn't a mass shooting.
Oh.
Didn't the Mormons? How many did the Mormons kill? The Mormons killed a bunch of people too. There was the.
But this was, it was, it's being reported as the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. And the simple fact of the matter is that I come from Las Vegas, and I also come from a military, law enforcement, and security background. And I will tell you, as a security professional, there's absolutely no way that could have been prevented. That if you look at the setup, what was being done there, the profile, like Eric mentioned about the shooter himself, there's no way you could have prevented that shooting from occurring if someone was hell-bent on doing it. So it is, while it may be the quote-unquote worst mass shooting in U.S. history, it also is the worst mass shooting to use to bolster a gun control argument, because gun control wouldn't have helped in that mass shooting whatsoever.
It wouldn't have brought him at all.
So the question is slide fire illegal in Nevada, like the bump stock?
Nevada is an extremely pro-gun state. The only thing we don't have is the constitutional carry that Shannon was talking about. But we make up for that by saying that private businesses aren't allowed to tell you can't carry your gun in their business.
Wow.
The state constitution trumps.
What's cool
That's pretty much the same anywhere, isn't it? You can't put up a sign that voids your constitutional rights. They can just at worst trespass you.
In
Starbucks
theory,
has that.
but not in action. Like a lot of states allow private businesses to trump the state constitution.
What's cool too is Arizona. I have a CCW, so I go to Nevada and it's recognized. So I carry right across the line. You know.
Yeah,
right
and Nevada has a long culture, and we're especially big on open carry in Nevada. Like I know I've talked about this before with John, but you know, like when I go grocery shopping, there's like 20 other people carrying their guns on their hips, and we're extremely pro
out here.
Yeah. And that being said, you know, like not only would gun control have not prevented this mass shooting, people with CCWs, quote unquote good guys with guns, wouldn't have prevented it either. This is a completely different situation than most that we've dealt with in the past, which is one reason I really wanted to come on here and talk about it, because it's stupid that people are raising the gun control issue over this. And I can understand, I don't agree with gun control at all. Like I have a hard line pro-gun stance. I say give them to everyone. Give them to the felons. Give them to the crazies. Give them to whoever. And because we live in a dangerous world, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they have a gun or not. They're a threat. And if you can't deal with that, then good luck surviving.
I'm not entirely sure where I'd be on give them to the felons and the crazies, but Dorian, I had seen you. I'd seen you share a little bit of a story about your history with your interest in guns and how it's changed over the years. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, I think what you're talking about is like my first contact with the gun was just taking it from someone who was in trouble of possibly hurting themselves a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. And the first time I held it, just because of the instance and never having any experience with it, I pretty much felt like I was holding evil, something evil, you know. And you know, I was also
I'm holding something evil.
Religious
only at
isatan.com as well, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's just uneducated is all it was, you know. And so yeah, I mean, it just takes experience. It just takes getting to understand it, getting to know how it works. It's indifferent. A gun is indifferent to you. It's just
Absolutely.
a piece of metal, you know. It doesn't. It has no intention. So.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a good tool.
Yep. Well, I think we've lightly touched on we've lightly touched on a couple of issues, like one being the constitutionality of owning firearms. Because I mean, I think that's without question. It doesn't matter what your personal feelings on it are. The founding fathers, people who framed the country, they said it's an inalienable right.
Shall not be infringed.
It shall not be infringed.
Right.
Like it can't get much more clear in language than that. So I think that it's a silly debate to have in the first place, because it goes against everything that the country stands for. And I don't mean that in like a super nationalist kind of way, but we live in the United States of America, and the United States of America was founded on a set of ideals, and one of those ideals is the right to keep and bear arms for the private citizen.
Yeah. Agreed. Jeff, I got a question. What's your favorite model firearm to hide in that beard? What is going on with that thing?
It's just been growing and growing, and I've decided not to stop it.
It's awesome. You could hide a sword in that thing.
But honestly, I'm a jacket guy. I like to wear jackets, so I like carrying my Glock 19 when I carry concealed.
Nice. Shannon, you carry concealed or what?
I actually just open carry. I typically either will leave it in my car or, you know, like when I go out in the woods, I will take one with me, because you do stand a chance of running into wildlife and crackheads. I mean, they're out there.
Part of the wildlife.
I typically open carry. I've got a Sig Sauer and a
Don't drop it.
and I got a Beretta. You know, I just kind of, when I go gun shopping, I take my child with me who is a gun expert, which sounds terrible, but I mean, we're rural. He got his first BB gun very young and was taught to treat it like a real gun, which it kind of technically is. And when he turned, I think it was 14 maybe, we bought him his first rifle, and he also has a handgun. And I have absolutely no problems with him. Not, you know, he doesn't touch them except to take them apart and clean them. He asks us, even though they're in his room, before he takes them apart and cleans them, he shoots his rifle out back. And I've never had a problem with him being unsafe or believing that a gun is a toy or something to fool around with.
Yeah.
And he has a locking cabinet, so when he has friends over, we keep the keys. But the difference between how he was raised to respect weapons and to see some of these kids who have never been exposed to them, I can easily understand why kids get stupid and shoot each other, because it's not a reality for them. If you don't ever shoot a gun and feel that power in your hands, you don't really sort of understand.
Or respect
this is a bullet that
Yeah.
no. And he shot everything from an AR-15 to a shotgun. And we made sure that he did it with, I have a bunch of friends that are vets, ex-police officers, things like that. So, it was just something that we kind of grew up with. And, I say things to people like, yeah, he has guns in his room. He has the ammo in his room. And they're horrified by this idea. And to me, it's like, what do you... Yeah.
How dare he know how to protect himself?
Exactly. And how many times have we seen news stories of young children, boys and girls, protecting themselves when they're home alone when someone breaks in?
Or they
And
There's a movie about that.
Yeah. So,
the same thing
Eric
happened to
said
me.
something earlier. If I can just kind of rewind for a minute, Eric said something earlier that I think is a very true statement and is also a telling statement. Because Eric, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a bail bonds enforcement agent, right?
Right.
Okay. You would prefer, if you went into a home, to know that there were no guns on the other side of the door.
I really don't care. I mean, basically,
Well,
most of the
aimed
people.
at you. Let's put it that way. And I think
I
that's
enter every
generally
house
true.
as though they are.
Right, exactly. But I think that's generally true. If you talk to any police officer, any security agent, bail bonds enforcement agents, anybody like that, of course, and the military especially, overseas, we would much prefer that there weren't guns in the houses that we were kicking in the doors of. Because that threat to personal safety is very real, but that's only because we're on the right side of history right now. If you really analyze that, who are the people who would prefer there isn't a gun on the other side of that door? The people in control, the law enforcement officers, the military, the
government,
security person. Yeah, these are the people who wish you didn't have a gun. And I'm absolutely right there with you. I'm not saying anything bad about it, Eric. Like when I was doing that job, I would much prefer that I didn't have to worry about a gun being on the other side of the door. But as far as the United States of America as a country is concerned,
yeah, I don't want my safety to be trumping everybody else's right to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
That's exactly how I feel, because if I could play devil's advocate for one moment, I don't really subscribe to the whole mass confiscation and the tyrannical government theory so much, because realistically there's an easier way. If they are going to take over the government or the entire country, they don't need guns, they don't need to confiscate it, they can do it through the monetary system. It's so much easier. They could do it from their office with a pencil. They don't need to go collect guns. So I don't quite put my tinfoil hat on for that one. But where my freedom ends is where yours begins, and vice versa. So whatever my feelings are, and I try to apply this to as many topics as I can, I'm just going to decide for myself and allow you to do for others. And that's just my bottom line.
You heard it here first, everyone.
Well, I feel that is partially true. But at the end of the day, the only way to enforce the handful of people who may not go along with whatever pencil is being pushed is to send armed men that are capable of violence to their door.
And women.
Realistically, what percentage of the people do you think of it is?
And women. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it doesn't really matter what the percentage is once the shots are being fired.
It depends on who's the better aim.
Exactly.
Yeah. In that kind of scenario, it gets all kinds of hairy. You start talking about supply lines. You start talking about all kinds of logistical things. Everything would just fall apart. And more likely than anything is if a scenario like that played out, some foreign power will just come and take the chance and take it over.
Yeah.
I just need to know where my modified cars are and my leather chaps, and I'm going to grow a mohawk, and I'm ready to go.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm ready for that world too.
So, Raul, do you carry concealed or anything like that?
I'm in California.
Oh, wait, you live in California. That's right.
They don't let you there?
No. What was that?
They don't let you carry concealed in California?
You have to have a particular license. I haven't looked into it, so.
Yeah, Adam does. Adam Roberts does.
Yeah. What do you like to carry, Adam, when you carry? What do you...
My gun of choice is a Glock 42, just for size. I can put it in my front pocket. But I carry a Glock.
Lots of room up there.
I know what you mean. All right.
So what's
a Glock 26 and a Glock 36 as well.
What's the process for that in California?
Jeez.
Just so I.
For concealed weapons permit.
Yeah.
You have to take a class. It's a 16-hour class. Written, half of it's written, and the other half is proficiency. And then you have to interview with your local sheriff in the county that you live in and state your good cause.
Did you actually have to write them?
Wow.
Like a kid writing a Santa Claus letter, like, Dear Mr. Sheriff.
I did provide a good cause statement. I had to provide bank statements and a good cause statement from my CCW.
In Florida,
deposits.
In Florida, it's not
And a blood
nearly
sample.
that bad. It took me about 15 minutes, and we do have a safety course that you have to take, but Dorian, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like 4 hours or 6 hours for the Florida safety course.
Depends on who's doing it.
The funny part about it is I took my hunter safety course when I was like 12, and it was more than double of what the requirement was, but I'm 34, and they counted it. So I just made my appointment, showed up, I just had to go online and have them print out a certificate for me of something from, over 20 years ago, and I showed up, I was third in line, and it was 15 minutes from when I sat down to when I was walking out with it done. And I was third in line.
Nice. And what do you carry, Jared?
I've got a M&P, the Shield 9.
Oh, okay. Dorian, what do you carry?
My EDC is a Springfield XDS. I have a few Glocks, but I don't know. I've become really happy with my Springfield. So
Nice. Adam Cardone, what do you carry? In New York.
No carry here. You gotta match it.
I know.
No, you gotta be either a celebrity. All the celebrities, basically, you go into the police precinct and say, "I want to carry a gun," and they sign the paper for you. So you have to be kind of either famous or know somebody. It's almost impossible here.
Wow.
Even if you have large sums of money, or like I carry expensive equipment, it's really hard to get it. So
is it the same way upstate?
Somebody
as
tries
it
to
is in the
rob
city?
him.
No.
Like, it's your card and
Up
and-
easy.
Dorian.
Yeah, exactly. No, upstate's easy to get one. You can carry pretty easy. I think it's just like a little course, like a 4-hour course.
Yeah.
But New York City, even the shotgun here, like I have to have a permit to own rifles, and it's it's a few $100s a year.
Wow.
And that's what it's really about. That's what it's really about.
Oh yes, it is. It's a monetary deterrent. That's what happened in the Heller case in D.C. I don't know if you guys know the Heller case.
Yeah.
So they gave D.C. You can have a handgun in your home, and then they just put a bunch of red tape like they do in New York, which is it's like a $500 to own permit. So silly.
Wow.
Yeah, I have shotguns at home. That's like my.
John, what do you carry?
I usually I love Glock, so I carry the 26
Nice.
most of the time. Yeah, and I love 9mm too. But sometimes I'll carry my 17 full frame and just boom.
Really?
And I have 33 round magazines for it, so it's really awesome.
Hey, does anybody have a Bond firearm? Does anybody have one of those Bond firearm handguns?
Like Moonraker?
Not since the operation.
No.
We're talking about the golden gun here?
No. There's a company called Bond, and I've seen they advertise in magazines. And it's basically a handgun that holds 2 shells. Each shell is a little mini shell
Like
that
the
has
Judge, like the Taurus.
Exactly.
It shoots a
Like a
410.
Derringer?
It shoots
Yes.
a 410.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't have one of those, but I've shot them, and it's definitely not a hostage scenario at all, but in a close range scenario. But yeah, like
it's good
That's
for.
what I would get.
It's good
it
for.
shoots a 410.
It's
I've
good
seen
for
them that carry 6 rounds.
Oh wow! Yeah, I would want that. That's what I want.
That's good for a poker game gone bad, right? It's good for a poker game gone bad. That's pretty.
That's
much
what
the
that
thing.
is. That's a mugger gun. Yeah, that's for like. I've been mugged with a gun here in New York City. About 5 years ago, I had it happen.
How is that possible?
But how did you get mugged with a gun in New York City?
Exactly. Exactly. No, I was
Surely
coming
you're
home.
mistaken.
I literally had just done a magic show, so I was actually dressed nice with a doctor bag, walking. I was a block from my house, and as soon as I looked up, a kid, dark skin, hoodie, can't really see him. As soon as I saw the gun, I felt someone behind me choking me, and they threw me on the ground. So that there was 3 dudes, and it happened quick.
Did they have
It was like,
CCW permits?
Yeah.
How pissed were they when they got home and saw what was in the bag?
Well, no, they didn't take the bag. No, it's funny.
It's like a deck of cards, a big rubber ear.
He went through my pockets. He found a wad of cash because I'd just been paid. And he goes, "What's in the bag?" And I go, "Magic tricks. Do you want to see one?" I remember saying that because I thought it would take the sting out of it all. They didn't beat me. They didn't hit me. And then they ran away. And, whatever, dude. It sucked.
Oh man.
So I have a question for everybody. Like, what? Since we're on the topic of gun control, what gun control measures do you agree with, and why?
Oh, let me go first because it's easy. None. Next.
Here's my question to everybody. The gun show, quote unquote, loophole, where a father sells his gun to his son, or you meet somebody at a gun show and you do a deal in the room, right? What do you guys think about that? Because that's the one, like the background, the instant background check. One of you guys just said that doesn't predict the future. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, out here, I mean, it's very simple as far as the background check. So, I mean, it's almost why even bother having it.
All right. So, what does that quick background check prevent? Somebody that just got out of the nut house, they're literally hallucinating. They go to the store to buy a gun. They don't have any.
It just checks out
Sometimes not even.
Yeah, if you have a felony or if you have a history of mental illness, or most states have a domestic abuse type of thing too, you're not allowed to have firearms. So it's just a quick check to see if you're on any of those lists.
So I agree with that. I'm fine with that.
I was going to say, to answer Jeff's question, I'm okay with a background check. I'm okay with an extensive background check because realistically, there's blatantly people who don't need them.
Right.
And I mean, there's people
who don't. But those people who don't need them are going to get them anyway. So why are we wasting resources on that?
Well, that doesn't mean don't try. All
right, but here's a scenario.
Let's do some due diligence.
Well, we did try. I mean, we made murder illegal, so.
Well, that should.
What's the problem?
I'm not entirely pro gun control, so I'm not going to debate it because don't get me wrong. I've got a line. I'm just saying a little bit.
Listen, the background check was felonies. Then they added some other crap, mental illness and stuff now, and like domestic abuse. Where's it end? What are they going to add next and keep adding?
Well, that's it. What if
I'm with you on that
consider
one.
What if you're a member of Antifa?
As mental illness?
I'm sorry. What, Adam? What?
Okay, I'm just drawing some hypotheticals here. What if you're a member of Antifa? Okay, and
that's a terrorist organization, right?
10 years from now, they're on a terror watch list.
All right, hold on. Let me ask a question. Are they an American citizen?
If they're an American citizen, but they have their own, let's say, a rebellious group, an anti-government rebellious group.
Let them have guns.
You see, they could. Well, no, I think they should be allowed too. But I'm saying in the future that could be put on the flag list. You see, that's.
If you just let everybody have guns, shut the hell up about it, stop wasting money and resources, everything will iron itself out. The water will seek its own level. The chips will fall in May.
It's a violent.
Think about even this guy. This guy in Las Vegas. No history. Oh, I never thought he would ever do anything like this.
Yeah, nothing would have stopped it.
The people will creep up and they'll show themselves, and now he's gone. One down. Right? One down.
Right. Well, how about this? Let's prevent serial killers. It's like, how do you do that? You can't. To me, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, we're on a mission to stop those serial killers. It's like, okay, well, where are they?
Yeah.
Like, how do you?
And I have an issue with. I know I was kind of giving Jared a little bit of shit there, but I have an issue with the whole felons having guns things because one, I think it's a waste of resources to keep guns out of the hands of felons to make them not pass the background check. If they're a felon, 9 times out of 10, they already know how to get a gun better than a law-abiding citizen does.
That's true.
I'll say that they don't need to not have one, but at least we should know.
Well, on top of that, the issue I have with the anti-felon gun laws and same thing with domestic violence, is that not every felony is a violent crime.
Right.
Well, that's why I just said what I just said.
You know, you could have a white-collar crime. You could have, for domestic violence, it could just be the state you were in, the way it was reported. You know, like there's a million ways the laws can be used against us, so why allow the laws to be used against one of our fundamental inalienable rights?
Yeah, that was why I said, what if a group like an anti-government group wants guns? They could put that on the list of, well, they're not allowed to buy them now, too.
Yeah, and a perfect example of that, like I was saying when you started talking, was veterans who are returning from war. If they are diagnosed with TBI or PTSD, they can be put on a watch list, and they can actually fail the mental health equivalent of the background check. Now, granted, those mental conditions can make people do some crazy stuff, but who better to hold a weapon than someone who spent years training and becoming proficient in it?
Yeah, or if you have like autism, or if you have some kind of other, you know, say functional mental illness, or some disabilities, but like you're not a dangerous person. But you know, once these laws get implemented, you know, there's a lot of, it could get really broad, and like I said, you can look at, say, you know, Satanists, like what are, you know, should Satanists have guns?
Well, they tried to make us.
I agree with
illegal
that.
in the
I
80s.
agree with that, Raul.
Yeah. When's it end? Where's it end? You know.
That's my concern. Like I try to think of, you know, we don't need to be extreme this way, extreme that way. I try to find a happy medium, but where does that medium end, especially when it can shift? It can slide. You know, wherever we're happy with it now, in 20 years someone's going to say, well, they didn't know this kind of gun was invented. They didn't mean it for this type of weapon. Now we need to move this over a little bit. Just like the argument that the founding fathers had no idea machine guns would exist. So we should change the law. You know, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Such a stupid argument.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they were alive today, they'd be like, everybody should have at least one machine gun in their house.
Right. It's funny, you know, you think about, like, we're not talking about a bunch of men who are like thinkers and not doers. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of people who literally just got done fighting a bloody revolution for their country.
Right.
I absolutely, hands down, believe, and it's just a belief, you know, there's no real evidence to back it up, but I hands down believe that they'd be like, okay, so like 50 caliber machine guns are a thing now, everyone should own a 50 caliber machine gun.
Can you afford it?
Yeah, if the government has it, the citizen should have it. Everything.
So that's exactly what the point is of it is. That's the whole point of being able to defend against tyranny. Is you can't be loading powder into your musket, you know, today when they're coming for you.
And Thomas Jefferson said, "I prefer dangerous freedom over safe slavery."
Yep,
absolutely,
exactly.
Absolutely.
I use that quote all the time. Now, here's the question I always get asked by the anti-gunners in New York City is, oh, how are you going to fight the government with a handgun? And I'll say, well, tell the Viet Cong that. Because it works.
Better than I
it
would
really
Iraq.
does work.
Well, the insurgency in Iraq is a perfect example of
exactly.
that.
You can't. You give civilians handguns and tell them to hide, and it's not easy unless you nuke the place. You know, that's it. You really.
When they say that argument, just respond exactly with that. Well, how are you going to fight with a handgun? Okay, well, by that logic, get rid of the handgun. Here's your stick. You know, you're much better now.
Yeah, I love it.
Adam, I got a question for you. Are you still in New York right now? Because you've been driving for like 6 hours. Where are you?
No. It's funny. I'm in Queens, and I'm in the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah, man.
It's a neighborhood in New York City called Broad Channel, and it's its own island. Nice. So I'm there, and then I'll be at Rockaway Beach.
Can you get out and like walk around just so we may be able to capture like a live mugging or something?
Yes. Well, I'm going to be in the hood in a second. It's funny.
You know, and I think another interesting question about the gun issue is, and this one will be a little weird, I think, even for a lot of Satanists. How do you guys feel about hunting?
I hunt turkey.
Go for it.
I turkey hunt I go turkey hunting. Yeah.
As long as you're eating it.
If you're eating
it, I love it.
Right.
I turkey hunt, occasionally squirrel hunt. I go upstate.
Because I think that's one of the big. Go ahead,
Adam. Oh, do you eat the squirrels and stuff?
You good? I'm in a weird area.
I have.
I eat squirrels. I make chili.
You make squirrel chili? That's awesome.
Oh yeah, you've never had that, John?
Not since the operation. No.
Yeah, I make chili.
I'm not even kidding. Squirrel, dove. I used to hunt growing up more than I do now, but just because I'm for hunting, I'm also for sleeping in past
Chili.
6 a.m.
Right.
And I'm really if we're gonna get on a pedestal, I will be on my pedestal for sleeping in. So, but no, I've had all that stuff. It's delicious. I've had rattlesnake. It's
I think I've eaten
I've had
everything.
Never
Yeah.
had squirrel.
I never had squirrel though. I tried everything else. Except pigeon.
Squirrel tastes like
Yeah,
rabbit.
it wasn't as hard as I
Similar.
thought it was. As long as we're eating the animal, everyone gets to hunt. All right, so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I actually wish I could hunt more and fill my freezer up. Like more. I just get.
Yeah.
But I joined the NRA guys. When I was not really into guns. I mean, I was into guns, but not really. And then I wanted to get to New York City. And
You're breaking up, Captain.
He said he was in a weird place.
I think he said you can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind.
Shaka Khan!
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
R2D2. Over
I
now.
think I'm back. Oh yeah.
Nope.
Nope,
So
there he goes.
yeah, no, I joined the NRA.
Look at his video. It's got
I
a
figured
really
out how hard it was.
got this film noir thing going on. The night was sultry. She was a dangerous
Oh, there's some
lady.
screenshots in here that we're gonna have to go for later.
This is awesome. All right.
So one thing I'd like to add is you guys talked a lot about California being strict on gun laws, which it is, but if you have any common sense out here in the state of California, there's a loophole for just about everything that you wanted to have. So right now there's a handgun roster in California, and it keeps shrinking and shrinking. Every time a manufacturer changes a firing pin or a spring in a handgun, they have to submit the gun to the state of California to do the drop test and whatnot. So the state of California has all these fees. All these handgun manufacturers have backed out of California. Like, I don't even think you can buy a Taurus in California right now. The list keeps getting smaller and smaller, but if you know somebody in law enforcement in California who's willing to sell you a gun, you can buy an off-roster handgun from a law enforcement officer private party in
What?
California.
Raul?
Yeah, so
What the?
All right.
I have bought
Nice.
I bought handguns from police officers, private party, that are no longer on the roster in California. That's how I obtained my Glock 42.
Wow.
I think that goes back to my earlier point quite strongly. So in California, one of the loopholes to get firearms that are no longer on the allowed to be sold registry, I'm assuming, is to go through a government agent.
Well, it's not necessarily to go through a government agent. It's to buy them private party from somebody who's obtained them from a government agent. So once the government agent sells his gun, the public can buy it.
I see. So if a police officer sells his pistol he was using on duty for a while, he decides to upgrade to something else, he can sell that to anybody he wants to.
So Adam, is it like
That's like a girl who waits for the right man to lose her virginity, and then once it happens, she's like, fuck it, who's next? That's pretty much how that works out.
So before this was happening, you were able to buy any gun off roster
thank you for
with
that.
a single shot exemption. And what they would do is every gun shop had a box full of barrels that were like this much longer than the gun. And they would put the barrel in, so the gun would no longer auto-feed. You have to put a bullet in for a single shot. Well, you come back the next day or 10 days when you pick up the gun, they would include the original barrel with the gun. So single shot exemption was the old way to do it in California. But,
Interesting.
And then peace.
I somehow
peace
feel
overtook
like
the state.
I somehow feel like gangs, like down in the LA and Southern California, don't worry so much about those loopholes.
No,
Well, it's funny you mention that, because since they started adding the loopholes, they've actually started using harsh language instead of violence weapons.
Another great loophole is a historical gun, like my SKS. I built an
Drive-by
SKS,
cussings.
and the manufacture date on my SKS is 1953. So it doesn't have to be registered in the state of California because it's considered historical, but I put a tacked out stock on it, and you look at it and you say, that's a mean looking assault rifle. Well, it's technically not. It's an old Russian rifle.
Well, it's not an
What
assault
is the
rifle.
cutoff?
Because it doesn't have
What is the
selective fire.
cutoff?
no such thing as an assault rifle?
So,
It's definitely not an assault rifle. You can promise them that.
So what is the cutoff like year wise for
I
a
think it's
firearm?
1954.
18 inches.
50.
Oh. Gotcha.
Wow. I have a 1915 Parker shotgun.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one. That was my great granddad's. Then it was my granddad's. Then it was my dad's, and now it's mine. And you should have seen how I had to get it in New York City. I had to have him write me some formal letter, and it was just this long process. It's like, oh, this is crazy.
That is a perfect example. The a gun being passed down through the family, is an example of one of the things that they kind of group into that quote unquote gun show loophole that they're trying to close. Is like the ability of parents to pass a firearm down to their child. How can anybody agree with that? You know, I don't understand.
How would you catch me?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. What if the gun show loophole is like basically, like, let's say I want to give this gun to my son in the future, which I will because it's going to be his. Would I have to go to a place and do a quick background check? You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it'll be like that.
That's what they want you to do, which will end up costing you about $60 to do. So it's just like we were saying earlier, it's just the state's way of making sure they get their money out of the whole situation.
Yeah, they want a piece of the pie. Yeah, the whole thing is weird.
In all the different states that you guys live in, are you allowed to build an 80% firearm?
I do it all the time. Whether I'm allowed to, I don't know. I've never checked into it. I just put it together.
May need to edit that later, huh?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we're running out
As
of
far as I'm aware, you're still allowed to build one in California.
I'll build a gun from
Who's
scratch.
eating the microphone?
I'm parking.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
He finally arrived.
Yeah, I'm home.
All right.
If we hear
I see your headlights, Adam.
Huh?
I see your headlights.
Yeah,
you made it to Florida.
Yeah. I'm Oh, here's something aside. This is a different subject matter.
Yeah.
But I told Peter this story 2 days ago because I thought people need to hear this. Do any of you guys have the Devil's Reigns patches?
No.
Yeah.
I do not have the patch.
All right. Well,
I can't
if
see
you
you,
have the
Adam.
patches, oh yeah, here I am.
Okay. Shannon texted me. She's like, "Can you tell Adam to show his face? He's beautiful."
No, hold on. Thank you, Shannon. Wait, we're live. Is this live? Are we on live?
Yeah, we're live. Everyone can see it right now.
Really? This isn't taped. This is live.
It's taped live.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. No, but like people can watch this live. I didn't know.
No, it's not live.
It's recorded live. Yeah.
Wait,
You're
where
just
am
a
I?
blur there, you know.
No, I know. I'm outside now. Wait, where am I? I'm home.
What's this important thing about the patches?
Okay, so here's the story. You're gonna like this.
They're actually bulletproof. No.
No. So I have the jacket. You're gonna see the jacket. I'll show it to you. I have the patches on my jacket because I think they're awesome.
Yeah.
And
That is a great patch set. That is a great patch set.
And I forget. I got somebody else. One of the other members. I'm walking in my house now. Wait, why? Here I am. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I'm home. Hold on.
Like the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
No, it is. Oh wait. Here we go.
Leave Brittany alone.
Okay, I'm walking in my house, turning lights on, and okay. So this jacket here, as you guys all can you see that? I don't know if you can see the jacket.
Yep.
And then I got on the front. It says Church of Satan on one side, and then somebody made these Reverend patches.
I'm getting sick.
So I'm walking.
It's like a Cops episode.
So I walk into the surf club, and I'm wearing my jacket. And there's like 15 people in there. I know almost everybody in there, all my surf buddies. And the next thing is I hear, "Hey, you, come over here." And I turn around, and there are 3 dudes from the Mongols gang.
Nice.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We don't have Mongols in New York. It's Hell's Angels
you got
here.
3.
Well, they were there, yeah. And Hell's Angels kind of runs the city on the biker stuff. But here's the thing. So he goes, "Yo, what's up with those I knew right away what he wanted. He goes, "What's up? Those are our colors." And I point. I'm almost glad I had the Reverend patch and the Church of Satan because I was like, yo, that's real. This is real. And he goes, oh, hey, what's up, man? And then immediately he was my friend. He then proceeded to tell me.
Usually they don't care as long as you're not claiming territory.
Well, and if you earned them, if they know it's like,
you
just didn't go by. But here's the thing. He then immediately told me he was Catholic and he liked Satanism. So there you go. Exactly. Like I was like, mm-hmm. But then later that night, they went to another bar out here at the beach. And the next morning I had heard that somebody I know got beat with one of those big flashlights. They were looking for trouble. So,
did they have a permit for that big flashlight?
No, they didn't. One of them did get arrested. The prospect got arrested.
Of course,
they need to ban those assault flashlights, man. It's crazy.
Well, it's funny. I keep one beside my bed. I have one.
Let me guess. It's black. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, now I'm in my bedroom.
Actually, since we're talking about gun control,
we need to go. He's in his bedroom. Let's just leave Shannon and Adam alone. Let's get out of here.
Because of this all kind of spurred from the incident in Las Vegas, and I was actually talking to Shannon about this the other night. People are actually calling for bag searches on the elevators in hotels. Like that's.
Oh my God!
This is not just a gun control issue. This is clearly a freedom issue.
Yeah,
people are willing to give up any semblance of freedom in order to feel halfway safe, and that's pathetic, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's scary. That's what I'm saying. People want answers quick. No one wants to stop, breathe. Let's collect and rebuild first.
I don't understand.
People out there want to take away your rights to even walk into a building, without being accosted just because they're panicky about some nut job. It makes no sense.
This guy goes up in a hotel and points his gun out the window, and violates all these people's freedom, so to speak. So let's all attack other people's
give
freedom.
Up our freedoms. Yeah.
What?
Because that makes perfect sense, right?
Let's pay it forward. Get it. Yeah.
But
even more than that is the people in Las Vegas, and I know so many people in that city that are constantly left wing, right wing, pro, against, whatever. But there are people in that city who are saying, let's implement bag checks and metal detectors, getting onto elevators and things like that. It's that's the lifeblood of this city. So you want to tell people it's harder to get in their hotel room? How many of them are going to keep coming?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Oh my God! It's what it is though. Here's the thing, and we have to all. We're all. On
what
the
are you
same
making,
page on
dude?
This.
He's making dinner.
No, I am going.
He's throwing up some bacon and cereal.
He's eating cereal.
Yeah.
I know it.
I do eat cereal. No, at the end of the day, though, as we all know that people are sheep and they like to be told.
Yeah.
They like to be told what to do, and they like answers quick.
Especially when they panic, they want a shepherd to tell them it's going to be okay.
Yeah, people don't like not having an answer. It's like atheism or like science. When it comes down to where did that supernova come from in outer space? A scientist will say, well, we don't know. Most people don't like that. The sheep don't like the I don't know. They like to go, here it is. And so when the shit hits the fan, they want answers quick. And what do they call them? Feel-good laws? That's why they pass laws, because it makes them feel like they did something important.
Like the TSA.
I saw one of the stupidest things in the world the other day on Facebook. Someone was commenting on a post, and they said something about because there's obviously a bunch of conspiracy theories that have come out about the whole Vegas shooting thing.
Yes.
And Metro and the FBI and DHS and all the agencies involved in investigating this incident, they haven't made any official declarations yet because they're still investigating. They're still trying to figure out. They don't know,
right?
What his motivations were. They don't know, so they're going to keep searching until they do. And someone said there's a lot of unanswered questions, and the longer it takes them to answer them, the less believable they are. How fucking stupid are you?
Yeah. That's
the longer
weird.
it takes them to answer, the better job they did, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not a knee-jerk reaction where they just made something up.
I mean, I looked today I saw a news article today, there's a photograph of him dead on the floor. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
And you know, they're doing their detective work. They're piecing it together. But you know what? Sometimes there's no answer. Like, why did Jeffrey Dahmer do what he did? There's no answer.
Because they tasted good.
Yeah, I mean, his fucking brain's wired weird.
Let me ask you.
And I think that if anything, this idea of this 64-year-old, for all intents and purposes, anti-political, anti-whatever, like he had no motivating factor that we can tell to do this crime, speaks more in favor of less gun control, because anybody can be the killer. So everybody should be able to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just the way I see it.
Let me ask
somebody else's gets infringed upon.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everybody that I talk to in New York City, and you know, again, it's a lot of left-leaning people that, you know, they're just like, why does anybody need a gun? Why do you need an assault gun? Why do you need a handgun? Nobody needs guns. Nobody needs guns.
Assault gun.
And when I talk to them, and I'm sure
have
you
salt
guys have met
guns?
people.
They have pepper
They have
guns?
what?
No, sorry, go ahead.
A salt gun and a pepper gun. No, like, you know, when I'm talking to these guys, usually when I give them some hypothetical scenarios and I go through my journey in gun politics, they usually agree with me. They usually go, yeah, you're right, dude. Like, you know, like, I get it. You
Nothing
know,
like
after
a-
I talk
Yeah,
to
I think it just boils down to like the actual like gun control reaction is more of a reaction to major incidents. That's why they want to have the conversation right after things like Las Vegas or Sandy or you know whatever other
Nobody
shootings
gives a
happen.
shit.
Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you guys this question. Hold on. Listen. Like, honestly, we're Satanists. We're really not known for our hopes and prayers. So if you don't know somebody personally that was injured there or killed or anything like that, or anything like that, do you really even give a shit? Like, about it? Does it really affect you?
Well, I just don't. I mean, it makes me go, "Hey, that would suck if it happened here."
That's about it, right?
But yeah, that's about it.
Because you're going to go on and do your magic tricks. Jeff's going to grow his beard. We're going to do the things we want to do. You know?
My God!
Nobody really cares. Nothing like a brisk walk right now. That's great.
So
That's
you
a
got to
street
see
light,
this.
Adam.
Let me show you. No, I'm on the beach.
Oh my
dude.
God.
Let's fuck
You gotta
her.
see this.
Is it an assault moon?
No, look. Out of the ocean. Can you see that? I don't know if you can
Does
see
the
it.
ocean
No.
have
It's
does
black.
the ocean have registration for that moon?
Yeah. I don't have registration to be on the beach right now. Oh my God.
I think that brings up a good point, John. I think that you know, for the most part, people don't
what
care
we
about
do
these
here,
things
Jeff.
because that's human nature.
Well, I don't ever like
People-
to see what
we're always
see, or
separated
it
from it.
makes me sad to see it. I mean, nobody ever wants to see your fellow man.
Adam, you
get
sound
shot
like
down
you're
that.
live from Ethiopia. Where are you? I can
I'm
hardly
on
hear
the
you.
beach.
No, not you, Adam Roberts.
Look at
I can hardly hear him.
Well, Adam Cardone's got the wind cutting out.
Yeah, I'm getting off the beach. It's too windy. It's like cold. The moon's
Can you hear
beautiful
me now,
though.
John?
Yeah. Say again?
Can you hear me all right?
A little bit. Yeah. You sound like you're really far away.
Nobody ever wants to see their fellow man get shot down. Innocent people get shot down. It's sad to see those videos. It makes me sad to see that. So along the lines of the conspiracy, I don't think there's ever anything wrong with questioning the government narrative in any situation because we're Satanists. We're not sheep. We don't take one person's side. We take the third side. We look at the whole spectrum and form our own opinion.
Yep.
But I think there was something wrong with jumping the gun and saying, well, the police are lying to us when the police haven't actually officially said anything yet.
Yeah,
I don't really know about that, but I don't know what's there, but I don't think that everybody should blindly follow the government narrative as well.
Well, and I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Adam Cardone.
Run inside real quick.
What are you doing,
wait.
man?
I'm going in. I'm going in my house. It's too damn cold out. My nipples.
You got anxiety or something?
Actually, you can surf when it's full moon.
Oh my God.
You can see.
You can,
You can really.
You can edit this out later, but I'm not seeing any video from Jared.
Oh.
I'm just seeing a picture.
It's because you guys have taken over.
Yeah.
Did you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, just to speak about the shooter, I I don't know if anybody wants to throw out and what they think of it, but it seems to me that this guy was kind of. I think it's coming out. It seems to me like he might be a just typical psychopath. Maybe not a typical psychopath, actually. Probably a high functioning psychopath. Psychopaths tend to be gamblers. They tend to have drinking problems, but they also if they're high functioning, they can be very successful. He was a successful accountant, real estate investor. There were also some reports. Yeah, he was a multimillionaire, and there were some reports like a barista was saying that like he was berating his girlfriend in public, like saying that like kind of pretty much treating her like property, and he was rapidly losing weight over the past 6 months or so. And he also, now this is not confirmed. I just saw this, so I may have to confirm this. Maybe I'll look it up now. But he might have been taking antipsychotics just 6 months ago. So there's
ran out. That's what you're saying.
What was that?
He ran out. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, but there's been a link between antipsychotic medication and these shootings, right? A lot of these shooters have been taking these medications, so they're looking into. I don't know whether or not there's a link to that, but it's just a different angle to look into.
Hey, here's a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, what happened to the Norwegian shooter? Remember the guy that shot up the first graders in Norway? What happened? What was the story with that? You remember that? It was like 10 years ago.
He was a like a National Socialist. He was he was.
That was like a political thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that one, didn't I?
No.
Well, I think Raul might be right about this guy in Vegas, because there is nothing, as far as anyone can tell right now. And again, the police have not released anything official about their findings in the investigation. But there's nothing really that points to him being the type for this type of action. He was a successful businessman. He made a lot of money. He sent some money overseas to his apparently to his girlfriend's family or his wife's family, whoever she was. He had a long lifetime of being successful, and he purchased all of his guns legally, had them for at least a long time, according to some of the gun store owners that had sold him firearms. He was well known in the Vegas casinos, but at the same time, he didn't snap. I mean, if you look at the way the hotel room was set up, he prepared this very meticulously, and I think Raul might be right. I mean, that speaks to the mind of a psychopath. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right,
Yeah, and he may have been recording himself, too. I believe something was put
No, he did. There were 2 cameras.
Yeah.
He had a camera in the hallway to see when the police were coming, and he had one filming himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll see if we ever see the light of day on that, but...
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. He was really far away, too, right? From the crowd.
He was... They make kind of light of it, but if you haven't been in that area... the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay is extremely high, and it's across a.
It's like 32 floors up, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it's 32 floors up, but it's 32 floors up on straight flat ground.
Yeah.
So it's 32 floors up from across the street or right underneath it or whatever, and then on top of that you have a 4-lane highway, which is the strip, or I'm sorry, 6-lane highway, which is the strip, plus a 2-lane median that goes in the middle of it, and then you have all the gates and the beer vendors and all that before you finally get to the crowd. So yeah, it was really far away. But honestly, like, people have been saying, like, well, without any type of training, how could he have killed that many people? And I'm honestly thinking, with that kind of vantage point, how didn't he kill more?
Yeah. He was shooting a barrel full of fish, right? I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was like 22,000 people in a tight little area.
Yeah, how do you miss? Yeah, I mean that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I saw videos of the guns going off and people just laying down. I would have been running. I would have stood up and started running. I would have been like...
How about that guy that stood up saying, "Shoot me, you pussy"?
Oh, yeah. You fucking flipped him off. Yeah.
What happens in Vegas?
Yeah. Right.
That guy, man.
Is somebody playing Call of Duty? Like, what is that?
I don't know what that is.
John's over there like, I have no idea.
I'm on 10% battery, guys.
Oh yeah, and we're probably holding you up. I mean, right? I mean, what are you doing?
No, I'm just. I had 2 shows today, so I'm just home.
Wired. Yeah.
I'm just home, losing my mind. I got a show every day now for like literally 10 days in a row, and I'm starting to get.
That's good though, right?
Can you?
That's good. Yeah, this is.
Can you do a trick and make your rifle disappear?
If they ban them, if they ban them, that's what's gonna happen.
Damn.
That shit's getting buried in somewhere.
We'll have a sign over it that says "Definitely no guns under here."
Yeah.
No, what's the saying? From my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
Charlton Heston.
You damn dirty apes. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, well, you know, people don't understand this, but every time this happens, the gun sales go up. So.
Right.
Yeah, it was a slump for months, so you know.
Well, Trump actually made gun sales go down because if Hillary would have won, gun sales would have gone out the roof, like when Obama got in.
Yeah.
And so now that Trump's in, the gun sales just kind of stayed the same, but now they're this just spiked it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Easily.
yeah, people always do.
Because people are dumb. You know, they know that this one happened in a very odd manner, but the next one might be someone right in front of you, and you want to protect yourself.
Yep, and they're going to ban them.
Human reaction.
Yep, and they
and they could be
and they're going to get banned. Yeah, you're going to be like, fuck this. I'm going to go buy a bunch of guns and hide them.
Yeah, that's the new Obama took my guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, guys, listen. I think we've exhausted this conversation. Unless anyone
We've exhausted Adam.
Yeah. Unless anyone has anything else to add before we close out. Final thoughts.
Yep.
No.
Go clean your guns. Make sure they're clean.
Right.
Eat
Always
cereal.
clean your gun.
Gun
Always
control
clean your
using both hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never point the muzzle at anything you don't intend to destroy. What else?
Rabbit season.
Keep your finger off the trigger until you're
keep
ready
your finger
to
off the
speak.
trigger.
Duck
and,
season.
This is my
educate-
rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Yeah. And educate your kids. I mean, I have kids. They know.
Yeah.
I've taught them how to do. You know, they don't
That's
fear
what I did.
guns.
Yeah.
They respect.
Well,
them.
and don't be a sheep. I mean, the world is a violent place. Be prepared for that violence.
I agree. Hail Satan on that one. That's like the main one.
You know what?
I mean,
Hail Satan, everyone. We're out of here.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
All right.
Satan.
Well said.